Good evening. I am the narrator, and welcome to my parlor. Tonight again, I have a guest, Robin, a Fortean researcher and mapmaker. Robin, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, I'd say.
All right. Now, give me a brief overview of what you do.
The main things I do in terms of Fortean stuff is just kind of making big databases and maps of cases I find interesting. Like I've made I used to do more stuff with cryptozoology, although I've mostly leaned more recently into UFOs and just general high strangeness of any kind. Uh, I have maps with like almost 2,000 pins probably. Um, uh, yeah. I also have I do still have a cryptid database that I do update whenever I find something new. And not to toot my own horn, although I am pretty sure it is the biggest cryptid database.
Hmm.
Unless if there's someone out there who is a private one that's larger.
All right. And what got you into this?
Uh, Probably. I mean, I've always I'm autistic, so
Hmm.
I hyperfixate on things like very obsessively,
Yeah.
and things that I generally tend to fixate on are things that are mysterious. So when I was a kid, I would hyperfixate on like the deep sea, or things like that. Um, or uh, yeah, and like when I was younger, I probably got mostly interested in it because of just seeing stuff on TV shows finding Bigfoot
Hmm.
or chasing UFOs or things like that. And when I was a kid,
And
I would yeah.
how long ago was this? How long
Uh
have you been doing this?
Probably I'm gonna say since I've been like maybe 10
Okay.
and I'm 21, so probably most of my life, I guess.
All right. So you're significantly younger than me.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm 37. But like you, this goes back for me to early childhood, actually
Hmm.
before age 10.
Like yeah, okay. Makes sense. I've yeah, oh yeah, I also was given the book Unexplained by Carl Schuker by my aunt. I don't
Hmm.
know how she got it, but that also really uh heightened my interest in it. And that book is kind of interesting. It is by Carl Schuker, who's a cryptozoologist, but
Yep.
it has a lot of general Fortean stuff, like entombed animals and things like that.
So would you say it is the mystery factor? That it is unsolved, that it is unknown, that we really don't know what it is, that there's so many questions to ask. That's what draws you?
I mean, I think that's what intrigues me, but I would like to know why high strangeness seems to be real because it doesn't make any sense, right? Like it is absurd to suggest that UFOs and poltergeists and stuff are real, but that's what it seems like it is, and that's deeply strange to me. Like I do want to know.
All right.
So while I am intrigued by the mystery, I would like it to not be a mystery, although I don't know how feasible that is.
Now, you say it makes no sense that these things would
Hmm.
exist. It's absurd to claim they do. And you phrase that as an objective statement. You didn't preface with, I think, or it seems to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always been very interested in science, so I think when I heard it, I was thinking it in the sort of default philosophical idea of the world, as in, everything is materialists, scientific realism is the most logical way to view the world.
Okay.
Paranormal stuff isn't real, like that kind of thing.
All right. But specifically, no, that's a generic attitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
What to you specifically makes it absurd?
Um, Well, I mean, I think if you ask the average person does it make any sense? Like, would you believe me if my house was infested by a talking mongoose named Jeff? I think they'd probably think I'm insane, you know? Just because it's like Fortean phenomena
True,
seems to have seems to generally defy very basic expectations of how the world should work.
it does.
Uh, so like, like with entombed animals, like people finding a frog encased in a rock,
Yeah.
how would it get there? How did it breathe? How did it get water or food? Did it even have that? Did it just survive somehow? Like that kind of thing.
True, but I don't think asking the average person is a good metric because I'm
Yeah, I
not the average
agree. Yeah,
person and neither are you. And
certainly not.
the average person only knows what is well known
Hmm.
by their very nature. Not that I don't in many ways. I'm not pulling rank intellectually on anyone.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, centuries ago, the average person thought the world was flat. And I'm not equating, proving the existence of Fortean entities to proving the Earth is round, obviously.
Hmm.
I'm just saying that's, again, not a good metric.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
So what was the first cryptid? You say you began with cryptids. Which was the first to really draw your eye?
Sasquatch, undeniably. Yeah. I
Why?
was like huge. Probably because of Finding Bigfoot.
Okay.
Like, yeah, when I was like a kid. And then it just sort of snowballed from there. So, now I have like a giant shelf in my room that's just full of books
Mhm.
on Sasquatch and stuff.
Do you have Sasquatch Apes Among Us?
Of course I do. Yeah, I have pretty
Yeah.
much everything.
Yeah. I guess that question I meant, why Sasquatch when there are so many others that are so much more obscure, so much more exotic, you know?
Well, probably because it was the first one that I learned about, and it's where I'm from. There are plenty of Sasquatch reports in Ontario. It's also probably the most well documented wild man. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I would say I'm certain that it is
Yeah.
of all of them. Although you are right, there's certainly a lot of other wildman type cryptids, including some that are probably more unusual. Like the what's it called? Uh, there's one in Kenya that was reported where it had three digits on each
Yeah.
hand and like big elephant ears. That's pretty weird.
That's something.
Yeah.
Now, I did not know that about Ontario. Where I
Hmm.
live in northern Wisconsin is not a Bigfoot hotspot at all. You'd think it would be,
Yeah.
just because it's northern Wisconsin,
Yeah, there's a lot of forest
Yeah.
there, certainly.
but it's not. It's not. Even in the area I discuss on my YouTube videos, which is a minor window area, Bigfoot sightings, while they're there, are few and far between. Um,
Hmm. Is it like the driftless kind of area?
Driftless, it's the quote unquote North Woods of Northeast Wisconsin,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
bordering
That makes
Upper
sense.
Michigan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that checks out.
No, what were you going to say about the Driftless area?
Oh, I was just guessing just by vibes
Okay.
of like what
Yeah.
part of Wisconsin would be a window area.
There's oddities scattered throughout the state, but just to my experience, there's the most in
Hmm.
uh, the far Northeast.
Yeah, looking at my map, there is some interesting UFO cases there, definitely.
So after Sasquatch, what next? What came next for you?
I think I just I think everything came next. I think it was more like, oh, there's more than one cryptid. There's others,
Yeah.
so I might as well check out all of them. Uh, yeah.
I assume the Jersey Devil.
I've never actually studied that one much. I always thought it was just kind of hard to believe. Now I find it easier to believe just because, like, it does seem like incredibly strange, biologically implausible
Yeah.
entities can happen. But, when I've only recently sort of realized that not all cryptids are probably biological and some
Yeah.
are something paranormal.
Yeah.
So I just heard, winged kangaroo donkey in New Jersey, and I'm like, that doesn't, I'm not going to
Yeah.
bother.
There isn't much on the Jersey Devil that I know of, mainly because unlike Bigfoot, which is a type, a category, i.e., there's more than one,
Hmm.
there's only one, and it is limited to that one location.
Yeah, the Pine Barrens.
Yeah, there's the origin story. A mother leads in her 13th
Hmm.
child. Let this one be born a devil. And then there's a history of sightings, documented sightings. By documented, I just
Hmm.
mean claimed and recorded at the time
Yeah, yeah.
ever since. But there really isn't the wealth of lore that Bigfoot
Yeah,
enjoys.
yeah. It certainly seems more clearly uh paranormal. Although I would say there's probably something paranormal going on with Sasquatch, but I can't quite tell what is biological and what isn't
It
with
could
it.
be a bit of both.
Yeah, I wonder that as well. Because like there are some aspects of Sasquatch stuff where like it's so clearly like a primate, right?
Yes.
Like like the sounds it makes, its general anatomy and how it's described is very consistent.
Hmm.
Even the facial expressions with like like the pant hoot and the sort of like a grimace face and all
Hmm.
those. Um, and a lot of like minor behavioral
Yeah.
things that apes in the wild do that I don't think the average person, let alone someone from like the 19th century reporting a wild man would know. But on the other hand, there are also so many obviously bizarre elements of the Sasquatch phenomenon that is
Yeah.
harder to explain. Like the glowing eyes element is pretty weird.
Yes.
Uh,
And as for the primate features you mentioned, there are exceptions. There are ones that are described with more human-like faces.
yeah, yeah.
There are sounds that are not primate-like at all, like the Sierra sounds.
Hmm.
There
Yeah,
are prints
and mimicking.
found, yes, mimicking. And there
Yeah.
are prints found with 3 digits as opposed to the primate
And
five.
four.
And yes, and four. And that suggests to me Bigfoot is a lump term that maybe we
Yeah.
or researchers created that in reality we're talking about a variety of different types of things.
I would agree with that. Like there are some elements or some like if you look in the 20th century, especially in the Midwest, and you
Hmm.
hear about reports of like a giant ape man, especially in the Midwest, it's very obviously paranormal, right? Like
Yes.
it'll be in a place that is hard to believe any undiscovered animal would hide, like Kansas
Yeah.
or like M Missouri or something. And sometimes it would like like glow or it would like stalk around a person's house for hours, which just doesn't seem like something a wild animal would do.
No,
Like,
or a primate, a gorilla would not care what a person is doing in their
yeah,
home. They might
yeah,
peek in to see what's going on just out of
hmm,
curiosity, but they're not going to linger.
yeah, I agree. It I assume have you read Where the Footprints End?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great book. That's something that really changed my mind because like I was holding on to the like like the flesh and blood explanation, right?
Yes.
For a long time because I just didn't want to seem crazy. Like I didn't want to seem like I was, not being logical. But I think that book does make a lot of totally logical sense. and does not at any point jump to conclusions, really, or
Mhm.
make any like weird stretches or anything like that.
No,
Like,
it
a
it lays out the details, it speculates, and that's it.
yeah, it's a lot more believable, I think, than like because like when I would if you asked me like 5, 6 years ago about the types of people who think Sasquatches are paranormal, I would think that they're absolutely idiotic
Yeah.
and would jump to conclusions. And I think, I mean, probably a lot of them are. Like if they just say like a bunch of like quantum jargon that they clearly don't know what the hell they're talking about,
Yeah,
then yeah,
the way New Agers do, it's all about
yeah,
vibrations
I
and
mean like
energy, man.
the new age kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
But but like with with some of it, I would just immediately brush aside something if there was a report that was completely logical and coherent with my beliefs, but there was one thing that made no sense, like a orb of light or whatever. Um, and like, if someone's willing to believe that there could be an unknown ape hiding in North America, a continent that has no evidence of there ever being apes there, you're already willing to, go against the general consensus of things.
Yeah.
So why would you stop there? You know?
You have no reason. And you,
If that's where the evidence points, that's what you
yeah.
should believe in.
Yeah, you have to consider practical details. Great apes are herbivores.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, and the amount of vegetation it would take to satisfy the daily calorie needs of a primate that size would be
A lot.
stratospheric.
Yeah. Like, I
They're
mean, that
just
is
well,
true, although
yeah,
chimpanzees and humans are omnivorous and eat a
yes,
decent amount of meat. And there have been primates that are as large or larger than a Sasquatch, like
hmm
Gigantopithecus.
yes,
But I would agree that it would be hard to believe that it would be able to survive in like it's been reported in every single state in the US and Canada, and I would argue Hawaii. There have been reports of wild men in Hawaii that are not the little mini hoony ones, like the
yeah.
much taller. So, I don't think there could be an 8.5 foot tall ape that's 4 feet wide, and would have enough food to hide, and it's reported in Delaware.
No,
That just seems hard to
no.
believe.
North American forests generally don't have anywhere near the amount of vegetation needed to sustain such a creature. They just don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me indicates nay primate.
Mm-hmm.
At least for those that size. At least nay on any primate we're familiar with.
Yeah. I do kind of wonder. And this is like absolutely just a hypothetical scenario, and I'm not positing that this is true.
Yeah.
I would assume this is not true, but I have wondered, like, to explain the primatological aspects, that if it is somehow a primate, and it is a primate, but it has some sort of ability or mechanism, I don't know how, that enables it to hide. I don't know how that would happen, but something like that. Is it a stretch? Yes, but I've wondered that. But that's probably just, cope for the flesh and blood hypothesis of it. Um, and I think it's also worth pointing out how wild men are reported so widely. They are reported in every continent except Antarctica,
hmm
right? They've been reported from, Chile to South Africa to Sudan to Australia. Hell, they've been reported in New Zealand,
Yeah.
like, which is a place where there are no terrestrial mammals native to it.
And they appear in the cultures of different regions that couldn't possibly have influenced each other independently.
Yeah, which makes me think that that probably the wild man is a sort of archetypal figure,
Yes.
and which would line up with the more cosmic Joker sort of hypothesis of that it's just some sort of cosmic. force or some sort of force that is just kind of producing things that are from humanity's general collective unconscious
Yes.
or the cultural beliefs of whatever culture it goes to,
Or it could be that, these things do exist independently of us. Um,
and that our cultures are based on that, you mean?
yeah, it could be either or it could be a bit of both.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to discern, I think, of the chicken or the egg thing with a lot of Fortean phenomena is like, is our is our folklore based on manifestations from the phenomenon, or is the phenomenon sort of just rolling with whatever our beliefs are?
Yeah. But what I meant in a deeper sense by these things exist independently of us was that I don't think they exist solely just to interact with us. They don't exist solely in relation to us. In the same way, mundane primates don't exist independently of
Hmm.
us. They don't exist solely in relation to us, meaning
Yeah.
they have places they go, things they do, which occupy 90% of their time when they're, not visible to us or when we're not encountering them. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah. Like, I think with a lot of high strangeness, it does seem like it requires an audience to manifest. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
not always, but like a vast majority of the time. Like, it's pretty rare, for instance, for there to be like a UFO landing traces in a place where no one saw it, right? They'll
Hmm.
often land in a place that is practically begging for someone to find it. A UFO wouldn't land in a field, it lands in the middle of a road for people to see it, like
Hmm.
that kind of thing. But I would say that it does seem different with Sasquatch because people have found Sasquatch footprints in places where humans do not go normally. Like it was just a total fluke that it happened to have been found. Like, I remember what's his name? Doug Hychek, who produced
Hmm.
Monster Quest. He got interested in cryptozoology because he was doing a documentary about an incredibly remote lake in northern Canada called the Lake That's Never Been Fished. And it has no human activity on it, and it's unbelievably far from anything. And
Hmm.
he goes there in a float plane, and he lands, and on the beach there are Sasquatch footprints. That's weird.
There we
That
go.
because Yeah, because that doesn't seem like that's it doesn't seem like that's what would happen if it was purely as like human required and response based as some other phenomena are, where it almost seems like it needs to be triggered by humans doing a certain thing.
Yes.
Or poltergeists, that's another example. Uh like poltergeists rarely are like active when there's no one there to see it.
No, no, poltergeists seem to me and to most researchers as pure performance.
Yeah, like
They need an
psychic
audience to
somehow.
thrive, and
Hmm.
they don't always need a girl in the throes of puberty, as
Yeah.
parapsychologists claim.
It does seem like that is quite common, although it doesn't seem like that's a requirement, but it does seem like that is disproportionately common. I don't know why, but
Um, well, the mental and physical upheavals of that period, which is a liminal period, transitional period, by the way,
hmm, that is true.
could create or stimulate some energy that it can use to manifest.
Hmm. Yeah, it does seem like it likes the phenomenon and like pretty much any paranormal phenomenon for some reason really likes liminality, and I don't know why, but it does seem
Ah,
like that is a reoccurring thing, with like
The
crossroads.
the only explanation I can think of for that is that these beings have a culture of sorts, and that is important to them, liminality,
That's interesting. I've never thought of that. Huh.
or that reality itself, and AP Strange and I were discussing this recently, runs on, literary and cinematic lines. That is, it functions like a work of fiction, of art or entertainment, and that is
Hmm.
like an artistic motif that's woven into reality.
Mm. That's also
Pissing in
interesting.
the wind, pissing in the wind, but
Yeah.
it's the best we could come up with.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it one metaphor that I've came up with paranormal or Fortean phenomena and humans trying to figure it out is this comparison and uh b bear with me. You know how a dog can see a television and it can interact with it? You know what I mean? Like I've had a dog, Reggie, a golden retriever, and whenever we would watch a documentary that had wolves on it, right? He would like stare and be super interested in the television, and
Well,
he would
he
act
sees
conf
his relatives. He sees something
yeah,
familiar.
yeah, yeah, and he would act confused because like why are there wolves in this box, right? So that's
But he doesn't
so
know them as wolves. Probably just assumes they're other dogs.
yeah, yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
And yeah, a dog. I think we can both agree. A dog could not possibly comprehend or understand how a television works, right?
Yes.
Hell, I don't understand how a television works, and I'm a human, right?
But in
Like,
theory, you could if you studied it, and dogs can.
yes, yeah, yeah. A dog, but I don't think a dog is cognitively or neurologically capable of comprehending or understanding it. But
No,
it
that's
is
not
a,
just a
but
matter
it
of opinion. That's a fact.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it is able to notice it exists, react to it, and be confused and see what it's doing,
Yes,
right?
they have
So,
enough intuitive logic to know that it doesn't
yeah, yeah. So
make
what I
sense.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, so what I think is that humans are the dogs and Fortean phenomena is the television. It's the stuff that we can notice and see, but we cannot understand for whatever reason. Like it's just because we're not neurologically capable of it. Or maybe we are, but with our current uh methods of philosophy and understanding how the world works, we currently don't.
I, I
Like,
think I think if it were explained to us in the abstract, we'd be able to understand it intellectually. The same
hmm
way we could understand the workings of a television intellectually if it were explained to us. But
hmm
I don't think it would make, how do I put this? I don't think it would make much sense beyond that. We wouldn't really be able to feel it philosophically if there is any
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
philosophical
like in the
dimension.
same way that I understand that the universe is 13,800,000,000 years old, but I don't think I would be able to understand how big that is, like how big of a number that is. Like I can understand it, like what that number means, but like the scope of it is too broad, you know? Like that kind of thing.
Yes, because you are such a finite being, you can't comprehend living that long yourself. Even
Hmm.
if your own aging process was slowed down to the point where you could,
Yeah.
you can only
It's
imagine it.
yeah. And yeah, I've also been, this is kind of a non sequitur. I've also been working on just making a general list of Fortean phenomena, which is
Okay.
interesting. And it is kind of difficult to do because there's so much overlap in all of them. Um, but it has been an interesting uh, project. And I have like came across some pretty obscure ones that are interesting
Go on.
beyond what
Go on.
was gone.
Go on. Just, I'm listening.
Oh, go on. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, like cat courts. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
It's a pretty minor one, but it does seem paranormal where it's like people are walking outside at night and they usually in a suburban area and they notice a a bunch of cats sitting around in a semicircle, and in the middle of it is a really weirdly large cat. I don't mean like a big cat. I mean like just a domestic cat if you scaled it up,
Yes.
and they're all staring at it, motionless. And usually, the big cat notices the person watching, and they all just scatter away and act as if they're normal cats again. And that sounds so weird that like surely that's not been reported more than once, but it has been reported more than once. It's been reported like a dozen times at least.
Okay. I would
Those
interpret
are
that in either of two ways. A, there's more to cat culture that
Yeah.
we thought we knew, or B, those are things that are not cats
Hmm.
appearing as cats.
Yeah, or it's something that is maybe influencing the cat's behavior for
Yes,
some reason.
yes,
Like there are a lot of examples of in Fortean stuff of animals behaving in ways that are weirdly human, you know?
yes.
Like one that comes to mind is there was a guy and he was like walking home and there's a farm on the way to his house and he sees a sheep and it's standing on two legs and it looks at him and it says, "Good evening." And then he's he's like stunned and just like reflexively says good evening back. And then the sheep goes back on four legs and acts like a normal sheep again.
Yeah, I've
Like
heard
that
that
kind of
one.
thing. Yeah, there's so many examples of that sort of thing,
And
which is kind of interesting.
and it's worth noting that cats are said to be paranormal sensitive. That goes
Yeah,
back to,
they
I
do.
believe, the Middle
Yeah,
Ages in folklore. And
they're like
indeed,
familiars.
their eyes have more cones and rays than ours, and so they can see more of the electromagnetic spectrum than we can.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
And often cats are reported as staring at something that apparently only they can see,
Hmm.
reacting to things apparently only they can see, suddenly freaking out, running off and yowling for no
Hmm.
apparent reason, and so on. So maybe
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
yeah, what's your next obscure phenomena?
I can pull up my thing. My camera will stop, not camera, my computer will stop being weird. Blah, blah, blah. List of 40 phenomena. Um, what's one that's particularly weird and also obscure? Have you heard of cosmic cars?
I have not. Fill me in. That sounds like a
Ima
children's toy.
it does. Imagine Albert Rosales, I believe, coined the term. But there are reports of what I could only describe as the UFO equivalent for a vehicle on a road, like a weird, nonsensical looking car on a road, like with wheels, but it's got like bizarre, like uh the make and model, I guess, doesn't make any sense. Like there's no windows or the door's weird, and often it'll be glowing or it'll just vanish, or
Hmm.
even it'll just fly. Like sometimes it'll look like a normal car, but it'll just get off the road and then just fly up.
Okay. Those
Um,
aren't entirely unique. You know, the men in black are said to drive cars.
oh yeah, yeah. Like it's not in yeah, I mean the oh yeah. I don't think there's really any hard lines in a lot of
No,
paranormal stuff where all of our categories, while helpful obviously, like
are very
describing
fluid.
things and categorizing things are helpful, but they are arbitrary, right? They're
Yeah.
not objective, right? Like how sapient and like intelligent does ball lightning need to act until you're going to call it a UFO? I don't think there's
Yes.
any agreed upon line there, right?
Hmm.
Or like uh or that sort of thing. Like how much does a ghost need to interact until it becomes a poltergeist?
Yes.
Uh, or like how associated with water does a UFO need to be until it's a USO?
And
You know, it's helpful, but it's not. Yeah, what were you saying?
that brings me to a point. You know, again, if these categories are fluid, these cosmic cars could be seen as just another form of anomalous craft.
Yeah,
You
I would say
know,
they
just
are.
like
Yeah.
UFOs and USOs. It's
Hmm.
not entirely new, it's just a variation on an existing theme.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing with all Fortean stuff is there's overlaps in pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm able to think of any of them that don't overlap in some way with other things. Like, there are reports of UFO stuff coinciding with poltergeists. There's Sasquatch with UFOs. There's ice, like falls of ice, and inside are entombed frogs.
Yeah.
Cattle mutilations are associated with UFOs, but also phantom helicopters. Phantom
And
strangers are associated with like everything. like that
And
kind of
that
thing.
brings me to a point I thought of when you mentioned ghosts in relation to poltergeists,
Hmm.
and which I have discussed on this channel before, is, there isn't necessarily much evidence that ghosts are the deceased.
Yeah.
They are the human dead. That is more an assumption, a projection of ours, just
Hmm.
like UFOs are extraterrestrial spacecraft.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's just kind of rolling with whatever we're
yeah,
giving it.
it's an intuitive reaction to appearances.
Hmm.
But in regards to phantom strangers, notice that, well, many, if not most of them, look completely human. If we encounter them out in public, we call them phantom strangers, but if they appear to us in our homes, we call them ghosts.
Hmm.
In the latter, or the former, assume are non-human. The
Hmm.
latter we assume are, but the difference is really often only a matter of location.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that where in where the footprints end, like Joshua Cutchin points out, if you have rocks thrown at you and you're inside your house, that's a poltergeist. But if you have rocks thrown at you from some unseen entity and you're in the woods, that's blamed on a Bigfoot,
Yes.
that kind of thing. There's a lot of things like that where it's kind of just context based, you know,
Yeah.
like like a bedroom invader is only called that because it's in your bedroom.
Yeah, it's named more for its location
Yeah,
than
yeah.
for its anything to do with its appearance or behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me to an interesting point is clothing.
Mm-hmm.
The clothing that, ghosts are described as wearing, that phantom strangers and bedroom invaders are described as wearing. To backtrack somewhat to Sasquatch, I assume you're familiar with these stories of Bigfoot in human clothes.
Yeah, I am.
What do you make of those?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of the ones where they're wearing human clothes are like in the Midwest, which seems to be the hub of the clearly paranormal Bigfoot stuff, right?
Yes.
Um,
The abominable
whereas in the
swamp slobs in Illinois.
yeah, that's what John Keel called them, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly. I call them phantom ape men for lack of a better term.
Hmm.
I mean, abominable swamp slobber ass for short is great, but it's pretty silly.
Yes.
Um,
Well, he could be silly
uh,
at times.
oh, certainly. But the stuff in the Pacific Northwest is more clearly biological, whether either because it is biological or because for some reason the phenomenon's just trying harder at making it more believable.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, but a lot of the stuff where it's Sasquatch is wearing clothes come from the Midwest. There's also reports though of wild men in the Caucasus wearing
Yes.
clothes, although it's usually implied or explicitly that it's human clothes that is stolen, and for whatever reason it's decided, oh, I'm gonna wear this.
Yes.
Um, but
You,
with there's one Midwestern report with a Sasquatch wearing clothes where it's like a plaid shirt and jeans and they're like torn, almost
yes.
as if a guy was like a werewolf and he like transformed into a Sasquatch or something, which is
Yeah.
pretty goofy.
You have to avoid the risk of looking too deeply in to this phenomena and necessarily seeing some symbolic depth that may or may not even be there.
Hmm.
Um, for instance, it may not mean a damn thing that some Bigfoot are described wearing human clothes. It could just be that the entity in particular saw humans wearing those clothes, decided it liked them, and sought to wear them itself.
Hmm.
Could be all it is.
Monkey see, monkey do. Like
Yeah.
there are definitely patterns in clothing with entities. Like plaid comes up a lot for some
Yes.
reason. With like with ghosts, but also there's that Sasquatch that wore a plaid shirt, and also I want to say there's been bedroom invaders wearing plaid.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, oftentimes phantom strangers are like weirdly well dressed, but kind of a couple decades outdated.
Yes.
Um, And same with mirrored men.
Yeah.
Also wear that kind of thing. And euphonauts often wear the same kind of thing where it's like a skin tight, one colored
Hmm.
suit, like something like a diver would wear.
Yeah.
Um,
And that used to well, luckily it's something a scuba diver would wear and not something a Olympic diver would wear.
mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
that frustrated me when I first began reading Keel when I was 18, is he made this reference to entities seen in plaid. He claimed, oh, yeah, it's very common in parapsychological literature. And yet he never mentioned any specific books, any specific works.
yeah, that's Keel for you.
Yeah, just like his claim that the men in black facially resemble entities conjured at spiritualist seances. Again,
Huh.
no sources.
Yeah, the things with John Keel is like, like obviously his work is incredibly important and he's not a grifter or a liar, right? Like he's never been
No.
caught fabricating anything. But
Mm-mm.
my God, is he should have cited his sources more.
Yeah, I get the
Like,
impression he was very excitable and those things didn't really come to his mind.
yeah, yeah. I think yeah, because there have been things I've heard where like oh, and this has happened to me where I've heard about something John Keel offhandedly mentions and then I try to search for it and there's nothing. So I'm like, where the
Yeah.
hell did he get that? And then like years later I just stumble upon the exact thing he must have found.
Yes.
Like,
Um, Tom or someone from the
mhm,
MRG told me that in our archives we actually have the copies or photo duplicates of the old spiritualist magazines where those proto
hmm,
MIB entities are described. I have not seen them. I assume they're still in the archives.
hmm,
I'll ask HL, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. So, we've been digressing, like totally digressing.
Okay.
What's the third obscure phenomena you've
Oh, you
uncovered?
want another one?
Yeah.
Let me think. Um, looking. Do you know about sky wires?
I have not heard of those, no.
They're great. It's very rare. There's only like maybe three or four reports of it. But imagine you look up in the sky and you see what looks like fishing wire starting from one point in the air, like that's out of sight, like it just goes past the horizon, and continuing to another point as and like taut, like not like loose, like as if it's being like held tight. And but there's a bunch of them and they just appear overnight in a place. Sometimes they fall in a huge clump.
Hmm.
The most well documented instance of this phenomenon was in Caldwell, New Jersey. I believe it was investigated by John Keel and also Ivan T. Sanderson.
Okay.
And the it turned out it was like fishing wire, basically. Like it was like human fishing wire.
Okay.
But it did not match any particular model. Like
Hmm.
they couldn't find any exact manufacturer that made one quite like it. But it
So
does seem like
it's
it was normal fishing wire.
it's similar to UFO ejector slag in that regard.
Yeah, yeah,
Made of
where it's like
mundane
just
materials, but not
in a
in
weird,
our own
yeah,
style. Yeah.
yeah. Um, uh, Yeah, and there's photos of samples of the Skywire. I wish there was photos of it while it was in the sky, although I don't think it would have been easy to photograph because it was like, high up and like semi-translucent. But there was just a ludicrous amount of it. Like at one point, one end of one of the wires fell down, and someone was t like pulling at it, like a
Hmm.
clown with a giant handkerchief,
Yeah.
and just pulling at it and pulling at it and pulling at it for like 3 hours or something like that. Like there was just so much of it. It's very weird.
Yeah, I have no comment for that one. I have no
Yeah, it's
speculation. Nothing
pretty.
comes to mind as to what that could be.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Got a fourth?
Sure. I got plenty. Let me look. I guess phantom snipers are fairly well known, but they are quite interesting.
Uh,
Have you
Not to
have you came
me.
across them?
I've heard vaguely of them, but
Yeah.
I know little of them. What's a good case?
Again
Good
with New
story.
Jersey, I don't know why New Jersey keeps coming up in this conversation, but in Camden, New
Sopranos on.
Jersey, 1922
Okay.
was a good example. Phantom snipers often have like impossibly good accuracy, uh, often shoot at like angles that don't make any sense, like where
Hmm.
they couldn't have feasibly, like there couldn't have been someone there. I'm pretty sure they're basically never seen. And in some
Okay.
cases, the projectiles they use aren't even bullets. They're just like random objects, like a button or a penny or something. Like just
Okay, so
like
sniper may not be the correct term. It could be more like phantom
it
thrower.
well, it is like shot out and it is usually bullets from
Okay.
a gun. But sometimes it's not the typical projectile you'd be expecting.
Okay.
Um,
Is it actually accompanied by the sound of gunfire?
I would say only a third of the time.
Okay.
But it is like it does seem like it is like fired from a gun. Sometimes the bullets aren't even found. Like the damage done as if there was a bullet is there, but not the bullet itself.
So
Whereas in
people
other cases, yeah,
so people have been injured?
yeah, people have died from it. There are reports of people dying from it.
Okay.
Yeah, it is not a safe phenomenon.
It's now it's interesting because even in seemingly very threatening phenomena, people are rarely
Hmm.
injured or killed.
That's true. Yeah.
It's almost unheard of. They may piss themselves in fear,
Oh
but
yeah.
rarely are they actually injured.
Hmm.
This is like the Brazilian chupas in that regard.
Yeah, I really want to know, why do UFOs seemingly just despise Brazilians?
I don't
Like
know.
I have I have I have heard of like, I'm gonna guess 40 to 50 cases where a person dies from a UFO, and I will say 90% of them are Brazilian men
Okay.
for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what I know. It's very weird.
Weird.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like weird like data stuff like that in Fortean stuff where like, why is that so disproportionate?
Yeah, and it
You
is
know?
interesting that only in some is the sound of gunfire actually heard. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
as if there's a full phenomena with a full sensory experience,
Mm-hmm.
but it can't always manifest. There's some
Yeah.
factor there that presents or presents that prevents it from fully manifesting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some energy in the atmosphere it draws on, and
Yeah, there's a lot
availability
of
varies.
yeah, there's a lot of like phantom attackers and stuff. And yeah, it is true that like it's very rare for them to end up killing people. Let me see if I can find an example on my map of a person dying from one. Uh, yeah, there's this case, which I learned of this case from the book Phantom Snipers, Slashers, and Animal Rippers, which is a grisly name, where there was an 11-year-old kid named Billy Upton, and he was walking through an alley, and according to people who saw this, the kid just like staggered and fell over dead. No one heard anything. He just fell over. So they took him to the hospital and he was already dead. But the autopsy showed he was shot and killed. No one heard any gunshots and no one saw anything suspicious, but he was shot and killed with a 22 caliber bullet in his body.
Ooh,
Yeah. And it seemed like it was shot from close range based on the autopsy, like less than a block away. And again, no one heard a gun go off. Uh, they also seemingly did not find any guns in the area that could have been the murder weapon. Like the police, this happened in Roanoke, Virginia in 1931, by the way. The police department confiscated like all the rifles in the town to determine who did this, and it they couldn't really find anything. So pretty weird.
Hmm. It's interesting. The sometimes you hear it, sometimes you don't aspect. That's like the audio equivalent to, say, the varying visuals in other types of cases. Like with the Hat Man, most of the time you just see black, but sometimes you see his face.
Yeah,
I should say sometimes his face is seen.
yeah.
Again, like there's a full form, but usually it either can't or won't manifest.
Hmm.
Again, like it's dependent on something else
Yeah,
too, and that something else varies in availability.
yeah, it does seem like some manifestations are like more vivid than others for whatever reason. I don't know why, but yeah.
Or perhaps the face is just an affectation
Hmm.
that he can conjure. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. It depends on what he feels best suits the recipient in question.
Could be.
I don't know. Well, what else do you have?
Let me think. Um, I have been working on a list of things that have fallen out of the sky, or Fafrotskis, as Ivan T. Sanderson called them.
Okay.
Like just
Which
listing
ones
like
stand out to you?
uh crap, like just
Feces.
poop. Yeah. That's happened
Okay.
twice, both times in British Columbia. There's a joke
Okay.
in there somewhere. I am a Canadian. I can't think of whatever the joke is, but there's something there. Um, Starfish fell in Minnesota in 1985.
Now, and not to belabor this, but was this feces analyzed?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so it wasn't
In
determined, the source wasn't determined, the composition wasn't determined.
I don't think so, although at least in the second case, which was in 2018, uh, it
Hmm.
I don't think there was any sources denying that it was
Okay.
crap. I don't know why it was, but that's what it was, I guess. Uh, in terms of other uh particularly weird ones, a World War II missile shell fell out of the sky, which doesn't sound that weird, except it happened in 1984 in California. It was a dud missile, and it fell from a clear sky. People looked up, there was no
Hmm.
planes. It just fell. Uh, it's also rained a single 8-pound sturgeon in New Brunswick. A single rhesus macaque fell in California.
Hmm.
Um, at one point, nails, oysters, and dirt at the same time fell over one lighthouse in Texas,
Hmm.
which is very specific. A single really hot chain, like alligators, like it's the diversity of things that have fallen out of the sky is genuinely very baffling to me. Like, and I don't have any explanation other than I think it is, well, I have a hunch that it's related in some way to poltergeists, or that it functions in a similar way, like apports and stuff,
Yes.
because because Fafrotsky's and poltergeists both are throw things with seemingly like an intentional precision, like a target.
Hmm.
Fafrotsky's often will hit one specific building and nowhere
I
else.
I have to
Just
ask, what
yeah.
exactly did the feces hit?
In 2018, it happened over a pretty wide area, but in just like a particular in like particular small parts. Like it happened in like small localized areas in Kelowna, Lumbee, Enderby, and Abbotsford, in just random places. Interestingly, in one guy was interviewed and claimed that feces was falling out of the sky and landing on his and his wife's car for the past year,
Okay.
which is very weird.
You know,
And
it
the
should
other, yeah,
it should be said that some of these may have mundane causes because a lot of these items could be dropped from planes, from helicopters, even from high
yes,
buildings.
it would be hard to explain cases where it's falling from some invisible point over a long period of time.
Yes.
For instance, in the first case, it was in 1986, and it fell for 3 days straight on one school. So very
Huh.
specific. Um, and there are other cases of that kind of thing. There are also cases where people have like asked, uh, like the whatever country aviation administration and determined that it did not correlate with any aircraft flying over or anything like that. Although
Interesting.
that would be a reasonable explanation in some cases, certainly.
Yeah. Well, what else do you have? Because I'm sorry, I
Um,
really have no speculation for these items. They just seem so random and pointless.
yeah, it does seem like that. Um, Let me think. I'll ask, what Fortean phenomenon do you know about the most?
Me?
I'm just curious.
Most likely UFOs
That makes
and
sense. Yeah.
abductions.
Yeah. Or yeah, you're the host. I should stop asking questions.
Oh,
I
ask
always do
away,
that.
ask away.
Okay. What do you think is the deal with abductions? Because like it seems like to me there's only a handful where I genuinely cannot think of any explanation, but a lot of them seem like it could just be uh mental illness, or alternatively, a mentally healthy person who is deluded for whatever reason. Like maybe they had a very rough childhood and it's some sort of weird coping mechanism, that kind of thing. But there are a handful of cases that are clearly anomalous. But like, what do you think is going on with abductions?
Well, there are many parallels between contemporary abductions and shamanic voyages or shamanic initiations
Mm,
in, for lack of a better term, primitive cultures. That is out of those were out of body experiences designed to transform the percipient, not physically so much, but mentally, psychologically, to endow them with certain abilities and so forth, to set them on a mission
hmm
for their tribe, basically to make them into a shaman. Um, and I think most abductions are just that, but dressed in contemporary ufological trappings,
hmm
external trappings.
Yeah. Like I I know not this isn't a requirement in shamanism, but a lot of shamanistic stuff involves taking some sort of mind-altering substance.
Yes.
And it does seem like it is pretty clear that there is a relation in some way, or at least a lot of shared characteristics with DMT experiences
Yes.
and alien abductions that is so specific that I don't think it could be anything but some sort of connection. I don't know what that connection is exactly. Like a lot of abductions and a lot of DMT experiences start with a humming or crackling noise, and
Yes.
then the feeling like they're being taken somewhere.
Yes.
And they often both have a very profoundly, like, huge spiritual, intense reaction, like
Hmm.
where it feels incredibly important. They both often have similar surrealistic environments, you know,
Hmm.
including also like weird illumination that doesn't make any sense. I've heard in both. Um, and of course, DMT famously makes people hallucinate, or if you think it's not a hallucination, see uh, entities that are often described as, aliens, or alternatively humanoid things that sound a lot like a euphanaut, like a humanoid mantis or a humanoid cactus or a clown. And a lot of those are reoccurring things with high strangeness, like that sort of thing. Also, I've heard of DMT experiences where the person is placed on a sort of hospital bed
Yes.
or experimented on or things like that. They also DMT entities and euphonauts often say similar things to people. I've
Yes.
also noticed that. Like, don't be afraid. I'm not going to hurt you
Yes.
is a thing that's common in both.
It's more or less the same experience. It's rather
Yeah,
revealing that ingesting a drug can induce the same experience as a UFO sighting
I absolutely agree.
without one even physically leaving one's home or vehicle or wherever it is. And
Hmm.
yeah, again, to me, that says a lot about abductions themselves.
Yeah, would you say that a lot of abductions are not uh
Not
a
literal physical
material?
kidnappings.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I would say 99% of them are.
Yeah, that makes sense. In some cases, it does seem like it is literally them being transported. Like, what's an
Seems like
example?
it.
Yeah, like the Carl Higdon abduction.
Hmm.
Uh, or there's a couple ones in Brazil like that where they disappear and then they're found in a place where like people have already looked, like that kind of thing. Um, like in those cases, it does seem like it is literally a physical uh transportation, but yeah, it does seem like in most cases there's no reason to assume it literally happened. Um, yeah, and I think if there's a person listening to this who is skeptical and is thinking to themselves, "Oh, well, if abductions sound a lot like someone who's just tripping on drugs, isn't that just a good explanation?" I think it doesn't
It's not.
explain that there are it doesn't explain that there are many cases like that where there is obvious evidence left behind, right? Or
Hmm.
corroborating things from people who are obviously
Yes.
not in on it. Like in the Carl Higdon abduction, when they are before they even find him, they see a UFO before they know anything about it.
Hmm.
Or Luis Carlos Serra in Brazil, where he is claims to be abducted by aliens, and when he's found, he has like incredibly weird cognitive issues, and his I believe his ears are burnt and his hair is removed, or not his hair, his ears are burnt and like some of his teeth are pulled out,
Okay.
like that kind of thing. And there's other examples. What's the one in there's another one in Brazil where the youth and it's like a very early case, I think. Or no, it's not an early case, where the euphonauts are like uh not even very humanoid. Uh I can probably just find it. Let me look on my map. But in this case, the guy also has like really obviously unexplainable health issues that could not be just from him like malingering and like pretending to be sick, or
Hmm.
from something psychosomatic either. Um, where was this? Yeah, the Placencia abduction. Yeah, that one.
Never heard of it. I
You've
will.
probably heard of it. I
Okay.
bet. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I will say just because an abduction has physical after effects doesn't mean it was a literal physical kidnapping because
Yeah.
whatever this intelligence is, it's capable of manipulating matter, manipulating energy, and causing physical effects. It seems to
Hmm.
work on the subconscious, and
Hmm.
the subconscious is very powerful. In a hypnotic state, you know, things can be suggested, and
Yeah.
the subject's mind, will manifest them. If a hypnotized person is told, and I discussed this in one of my videos, that a flame is being held to his, let's just say his bicep,
Hmm.
he will feel heat on his bicep,
Hmm.
and red marks will form on the area, on the skin.
Yeah, there's a thing that's been in you can find that in like old psychiatric journals and stuff in like even like in the 19th century
Hmm.
there's photos of people as and it's for some reason especially common with in people with like severe mental illnesses and also epileptics where they have that sort of thing where they have like letters or text appear on their skin
Yes.
that just appears without them doing anything,
Yeah.
including like in front of the psychiatrists. So it's not like the person is hurting themselves in some way and making them appear. Like they see it form and it's like a coherent word. And it often seems like it's exa like actually completely psychosomatic somehow.
Hmm.
Like a doctor will like put them under hypnosis and then say this particular word will appear and then it appears, like that kind of thing.
Yes,
So
exactly.
yeah, so it does seem like like hypnosis is makes people's minds so suggestible that that kind of thing can happen. I don't fully know what to do with hypnosis because it is true that hypnosis, like the general scientific consensus right now, is that it is not useful for recovering repressed memories,
No,
which is what a lot of abduction stuff relies on, is assuming that that
unfortunately,
is
yes.
true. Yeah. So like, how do you try to reconcile that or like deal with that?
Well, the abduction memory, or the the abduction experience, or the memory thereof, has been successfully implanted in hypnotized subjects' minds,
Hmm.
meaning it has been created out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
What that could indicate is whatever this intelligence is, again, it can lull the person into a hypnotic state. It can work on their subconscious, and it can create these experiences on its own, just like
Hmm.
we can. In essence, we have their technology, for lack of a
What do you
better
mean that we
term.
have their technology? Oh,
I don't mean
that we can
literal,
hypnotize?
yeah, I don't mean
Oh,
literal
okay,
technology.
okay.
We
Yeah.
have their method, I should have said.
Yes. Yes. That's true. Yeah, it's hard to piece together like I don't know. It's hard to understand exactly how to determine what is a confabulated memory and what isn't. Because there are also cases where there is like some sort of abduction and the thing said under hypnosis later turns out to have corroborating evidence.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like like the Zanfretta abduction, if I
Yes.
remember correctly, the euphanaut, and this was allegedly recovered under hypnosis. The euphanaut says something like, "Oh, by the way, we're going in Spain. We're just going to terrorize some random people for no reason."
Yeah.
And then after the hypnosis session, local papers in Spain revealed that there was a UFO in the area that did exactly what the euphanaut said.
Intriguing. I don't remember that one. It's the thing.
It could be that I misremembered, but I
I
don't think I did.
I focus more on phenomena in general, in broad terms. I don't obsess over specific cases.
Yeah, that's I think a good thing to do.
Mm.
Like, yeah, I think focusing on specific cases is probably not as good because I think it could sort of distort your expectations of how the phenomenon should work
Because it
based
rarely
on that
replicates
thing.
itself exactly.
Yeah. Like there's obvious patterns, but it rarely does precisely the exact same thing over and over and
Yeah,
over again.
it which to me suggests natural variation.
And could you elaborate?
Meaning, in nature, no two people are alike, no two chipmunks are alike, no two
Yeah.
or more instances of anything is exactly alike, even mushrooms growing on the side of a tree stump.
Hmm.
And that goes for experiences in our lives, etc. So we shouldn't expect UFO abductions or UFO encounters to be any otherwise.
To not have individual variation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Uh, you think? Um, do you have anything else you want to say, or do you think we've said enough, or
Mean about this topic?
just like for talking? I can keep going, but
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
all right, all right.
Mhm.
Let me think of what we could discuss.
What about
Um,
the Enfield horror? I know there were two. There was the British poltergeist.
yeah,
For
are
me,
you
it's
thinking of
the Illinois
the
cryptid.
three-legged one? Yeah,
Yeah, that one has
that's a
always stood out to me.
that's a great one, and is particularly weird, even for like zooform entities. The
Hmm.
three-legged thing is very strange.
The color scheme is strange. The white fur or skin with the pink eyes.
Yeah, the yeah, it obviously could not, I don't think it could rationally be explained as a misidentified anything.
No.
Um, sorry, this is kind of a tangent, but one thing that I always think is weird is when people who are skeptical of paranormal claims, which is fair, that makes sense, that's cool, um, is when they will try to come up with an explanation when like 99% of the time, if you wanted to make a skeptical explanation,
Hmm.
it's best to just say they made it up. Like they're just lying.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like Joe Nickel, you know him?
Vaguely.
Yeah, like he's like that. He's a professional nuh-uh-er. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, this thing's not real. Here's why. And a lot of his explanations are like that. Like the Hopkinsville goblins, the glowing, levitating things with long arms that go in a group and are bulletproof. Those are misidentified barn owls.
Yes.
Like, wouldn't it just be easier to say all of them are lying? Like if you wanted
Yes.
to dismiss the story, I would just say they're all lying. I don't know
Yeah.
why they would all do that, but
Yeah.
that's more likely.
Because the skeptical explanations are just as bizarre as the paranormal ones, if not more so.
Yeah, if it is possible for 11 people to all mistakenly see barn owls as exactly the same non-existent glowing-eyed like glowing levitating goblin that comes out of a UFO with a rainbow
Hmm.
contrail, I don't know if I would believe in anything. Because like if people can be that spectacularly wrong but so sure and so consistent, I don't know how I would believe in anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, the Enfield horror thing. My point was just I don't think there's anything you could mistake as a creature with three legs and two arms that jumps around like a kangaroo and has huge red eyes. That doesn't look like
No.
that. There's nothing that looks like that.
No, and I don't think any Fortean or cryptozoologist has tried to argue that. It frustrates me.
Skeptics have argued it's a kangaroo. I'm pretty sure.
Well, what would a kangaroo be doing in southern Illinois?
I assume they would
Escape from
explain it
a
as an
zoo?
escape. Yeah.
But why would a kangaroo attempt to enter someone's
I
home,
don't
which is
know.
which it was as it was
It's not my
doing was
theory. It's
no,
not
I'm
my
not asking
theory.
you, I'm just asking
I
rhetorically.
know. Yeah, I don't yeah, it
As
doesn't
it
make any
was
sense.
doing when it was first sighted,
Hmm.
it's frustrating because it did appear multiple times, but only in that brief period, and it hasn't been seen since. If it
Yeah.
has been, it would have been reported and I would be aware.
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
that distinguishes it from perennials like Bigfoot,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know,
like
that
yeah, there's a lot of things like that uh where there's just like a weird one-off or like it just appears for like a couple weeks and it just goes away and no one ever sees it ever again. Like that kind of thing is quite
yes.
common. And it was just especially in the US, but it's also happened in other places obviously, but
Hmm.
um where there's just some incredibly bizarre nonsensical thing.
Yeah. Like the Wisconsin man bat, which isn't that bizarre or nonsensical. It's a pretty standard cryptid. That was only seen once that I know of. It hasn't been seen since.
Yeah, I don't think it
I
has.
wish it would be.
That would be cool. Let me look at my map of cryptids in Wisconsin. Do I have giant bat? I do. Was it the one in Oak Creek? Is that what you're thinking of?
I think so.
Okay. Then yeah, that's a one-off. There's been no other reports of giant bats in Wisconsin to my knowledge. There have been reports of giant bats in Manitoba, I think.
Hmm. But that's sufficiently far from Wisconsin that it
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
wouldn't be the same.
if you can think of an animal, people have seen an impossibly large version of it. Like
Yes.
pretty much anything.
Yes.
Like giant frog, giant snake, giant pike, giant deer, giant rabbit, giant swan, giant vulture, giant
Well,
eagle, giant crow.
one animal that's always creeped the hell out of me is sea anemones. I can't stand sea anemones. They are so unnerving.
Hmm.
Has anyone ever reported a giant one of those?
I don't think so. So you can sleep well tonight knowing that I don't think anyone's reported a giant sea anemone. At least I've not heard of one. People have reported giant spiders, which are, you know, a lot of people are scared of those,
Yeah.
including in places where obviously there could not be a giant spider being undetected. Like they've been reported in like England. I want to say one time it was reported in Windsor in Ontario, which is like a
Well,
city by Detroit.
define giant.
Uh, like bigger than a person.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
We're
like
not talking like kaiju size.
no, that would be crazy, but I don't think that's been reported. There was also a giant spider report in near Pittsburgh, I think, that Stan Gordon like briefly mentioned. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Hmm. What about let me think. Back to the Jersey Devil. That is, I meant to mention this when we were on the topic, but the conversation moved a little fast for me. It interests me that its size and appearance varies by report.
Hmm.
Like in some, it's more bird-like. In some, it's more goat-like. In some, it's more bat-like. It almost seems the different people are seeing different things at different times. Either that or it's just one entity and its form is completely amorphous.
I assume it's one entity that's amorphous, in my opinion. Like there are also reports where someone sees the same thing like two people see the same thing and they see wildly different things. Like I think it was John Keel, I think, who mentioned a report where two women, I think a mom and her daughter, saw an object and they agreed of like where it was when they saw it, the distance it was, the direction it
Hmm.
was going. One of them was sure it was a giant bird, like a thunderbird, and the other was 100% sure it was a UFO, like a disc-shaped flying saucer. Like there's other reports that are like that where people are seeing different things, even though it's the same object, seemingly.
Well, we can glean some insights from that. It could be
Hmm.
that the phenomena itself is completely amorphous and that either it consciously appears differently to different observers or different observers' minds interpret the incoming stimuli differently and create a different mental image,
Hmm.
or a little bit of both. But this would indicate that giant birds and UFOs share a common source. The only
I
question
I
is
I
why.
I don't know, but I do think that thunderbirds are zooform. Like if you hear what when cryptozoologists talk about thunderbirds, I think they very rarely gloss over the fact that if you ask pretty much any Native American tribe, at least to my knowledge, they do not say, "Oh yeah, it's just a bird," and white people haven't discovered it yet. They say it's like a spirit or something that's more like
Abstract.
intangible. Yeah. And not to say they think it's not real. They do think it's real, but it's not something that will ever be in a zoo. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Um, like and I think cryptozoologists often gloss over
Yes.
when the locals say quite explicitly that it's paranormal. I think because it's in a category that isn't really a thing in the West, where it's not an animal, and it's not a ghost,
Yeah.
but it's like something in between.
But
And
that
we don't have a,
category did exist in the West for centuries up until
oh
the
yeah,
Enlightenment.
yes, yeah, exactly.
I know what
It's,
you're saying.
yeah,
Cryptozoologists almost always assume a priori that these things are biological animals we just haven't discovered yet.
hmm.
It's the same materialist mindset that undergrids ETH.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
ETH.
It's yeah, like and like as much as I love and appreciate Bernard Wavelman's and all the other important like beginning cryptozoologist type people, a lot of them did do that. Um Michel Merger, I'm probably butchering his name, uh had a great article. I don't remember where you can find it, but it's called Of Scrimsels and Men, which is
Hmm.
about an Icelandic lake monster thing, and it's a great read on the sort of scientification and materialization of beings in Icelandic folklore that were believed in and still are believed in some cases as like an actual thing that exists, but they're not uh, normal animals at all. Um, you can find a whole book that kind of has a similar thing, which is the uh, uh, Lake Monster Traditions: A Cross-Cultural Analysis,
Hmm.
which was recently put on archive.org.
All
It's very
right.
hard to get in like an actual copy. It's like unbelievably expensive. It's a very rare book, but it's been put on archive.org recently.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I do think that's a thing. Like I'm pretty sure it's also similar with a lot of Sasquatch stuff. Like some Native American groups, and I know this because I've talked to elders about this. Some of them are like, yeah, it's just a thing. Like it's like a flesh and blood thing that exists. But in a lot of other ones, they do pretty explicitly think it's like a spirit or something that's less tangible than, let's say, a person or a deer or a
Yeah.
raccoon or something. Um, so it varies from uh groups, but you know.
Well, perhaps matter is more malleable than we think.
Hmm.
Perhaps they can be both solid and not solid at
Yeah, it's
different stages in between as they please or as circumstances allow. And
hmm.
perhaps this can be explained through physics. Who knows? I've looked into that for years and years.
What do you think? What have you found about that?
Nothing.
That's fair
Uh,
enough.
yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. It's like mainstream cryptozoologists, they're useful in gathering information, in presenting information. They're useful as a resource, but uh, there's really nothing there beyond idle speculation, beyond that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes they I think are pretty good at determining what is zooform and what isn't. Like if you look at like stuff from like Matthew Beale,
Yes.
if you look at his stuff in cryptozoology, there's nothing in it that makes me think, oh, that's a zooform. Pretty much all of them are like, yeah, that seems like just some undiscovered animal.
Yes.
So in some cases, but if you look at others, it does seem more clearly like some of these are not couldn't possibly be some undiscovered animal. Like for like, with like Lauren Coleman or Carl Schuker. Like, they can find plenty of interesting stuff, but I don't think all of them are either uh a real normal flesh and blood animal or fake.
Yeah.
It's kind of a false a false dichotomy, which is kind of the same thing with UFOs, where it's either uh, you know, uh engineered craft from an extraterrestrial species that has gotten here with their technology, or it's fake.
It's
And there's no
because
other explanation.
in both fields, the debate is dominated by the same two sides, materialist,
Yeah.
true believers, or
hmm
materialist skeptics.
hmm
And, people like John Keel were always shut out.
hmm
And so,
Why why do you think Yeah, I was gonna say a question, but I've kind of answered it myself. Is I was thinking of like why is the UFO community often leaning so conspiratorially? But I think that's because they're viewing it from a materialist lens, and they're like, well, this doesn't make sense. There must be a cover up, you
yes,
know? When no, it's that you're right. There is UFO stuff, but you're wrong about how it works
yes.
and what it's from.
Yeah. And personally, over the years, I grew really tired of conspiracy theories, of the government being assumed to know everything, to see everything.
Yeah.
They don't, and they can't.
Yeah. Like obviously it's not like the government the US government has never done anything malicious or has never covered anything
Of
up, but
course not.
nothing ever on the scale of extraterrestrials. That has never happened. And every time there's any leaked stuff from the US government or stuff that's been declassified, all of it the tone is clearly that they're like, I don't know what this is. That's weird. But they don't, it doesn't seem like they know anything else, like any more than we do. Like,
They don't.
yeah, like if it was a big cover up, you would assume when people have a declassified like a leaked US document, uh if they knew more, you'd think it would say like, yep, we got flying saucer number 43 from planet Zebulon in the hangar at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, but that's never in any of the documents. It's just them being like, I don't, what the hell is happening? This is weird.
Um, the problem is many people don't really understand what the government is. When they refer to the government,
It's very nebulous.
it's an abstraction. It's a monolith that they can project all
hmm
these things onto, or they can associate with all these things. The fact is, the government is a number of different branches and departments,
hmm
thousands of staffers and employees, many of whom are just low-level pencil pushers, many of whom are just overworked managerial types.
hmm And
Um,
also like
each
and
of
also like
which, not done yet,
yeah. Yeah,
each
okay.
of which has their own focus, their own department. Many of them are completely unrelated, work entirely independently of each other. It's not the all-seeing eye that
Yeah.
ufologists and other conspiracy theorists. I shouldn't say other conspiracy theorists because not every ufologist is
Hell
conspiracy
of a lot of them
prone.
are.
But yeah, but that conspiracy-minded ufologists
Yeah.
think it is.
Hmm. It would also be weird if it is a giant conspiracy. It's weird how like chill the government is about people talking about their secrets. Like if you
Yes.
look in cases where there is a cover up,
Yeah.
like real cases, if someone's like, yeah, the government's covering this up, they usually will, quote unquote kill themselves with three gunshot wounds to the back of the head. Like, and that's not happening. So like they're
No.
weirdly chill about it.
No, these days, actually for years, you've been able to say things like that online,
Yeah.
run websites dedicated to talking about just that, write articles for
Hmm.
websites, make YouTube videos talking about just that, making all kinds of claims, even writing books that become bestsellers in ufology.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
making
another
those
thing is
kinds of
also like,
claims, and nothing bad ever happens to them. So, yeah,
yeah. And another thing is also like, there's more than one country. It's not like there's one government.
I was just about to
Like,
say that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can see that different countries clearly have different policies on UFO stuff. I do
Yeah.
think it is pretty clear that pretty much every country is aware UFOs exist, and like their
Yes.
governments respectively are aware they exist just because like it happens enough. But it does seem clear that their policies vary. Like in some countries, they'll like never talk about it, and in others, they'll just like release a video of a UFO as soon as it happens. It'll be like, "Hey, isn't this weird?"
Hmm.
You know? Uh,
Now, I was just
like,
getting to that. You and I are from two different countries, and so far we've
mhm,
discussed mainly American ufological
yeah.
culture. Are Canadian ufologists the same way? Do they make the same claims about the Canadian government?
I have not heard Canadians be as conspiratorial, but I've also not like 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 I think most Canadian UFO buffs probably think uh there is a cover up and an extraterrestrial thing, but I've not heard them bring up any so-called evidence of why they're assuming this. You know? Like,
It's just, well, these people are in power, so obviously they do just because they're
yeah,
in power.
yeah. Yeah, I
But that
think it's
logic
mostly
is
just them
asinine.
go. Oh yeah, totally. I think it's just them just going with whatever the Americans are thinking, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
Um, but it does vary. It does seem like the Canadian government is more willing to divulge information than the US government.
Okay.
Not to say that the US government is like hiding secrets, but it does seem like they are more reluctant to share something if it's like, it's going over classified airspace or it's doing blah blah blah.
Well, what
Um,
what as of late has the Canadian government divulged?
um, I mean, it's not difficult to find in like Canadian documents, just like anytime there's like a weird uh like unexplained Air Force thing. Like there's like a log they have of like whenever there's like a plane that has like an unusual incident, you can
Hmm.
just find it. It's not hard. Um, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Our government doesn't supply us that. Uh,
Yeah.
historically, has that been the case, or only more recently?
I don't think I don't think they've ever been quite as secretive as Americans based on what
Yeah.
I've read. Although I don't think they would always probably give every single detail, especially if it was something that was more uh weird or concerning, like if it went over a military base or over the Parliament building or something. But
Hmm.
generally, I don't think the Canadian government would, as far as I've read.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would seem then that Canadian ufology is healthier. Canadian UFO culture is healthier than American.
Uh, I don't think I have interacted with Canadian UFO buffs enough to make a conclusion or claim.
Well,
I
just in
don't
the
think I know
sense
enough.
of being less conspiratorial, of the government
I think
being less
probably a
uptight.
little less conspiratorial, but
Okay.
if I had to guess, I would probably disagree with the average UFO buff in Canada. Like I've overheard Canadians say really stupid stuff about paranormal claims. I remember one time I was at a restaurant and I overheard someone talking about how the pyramids were made by levitating the blocks with sonic like technology or something. That's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm
you,
not a fan of ancient alien stuff.
I've never looked that much into it. Even when it first came out, I wasn't that big a fan, or I wasn't that
Hmm.
excited to watch it because I was already firmly entrenched in the John Keel way of thinking, and I knew it came from an ETH perspective.
Yeah.
So when you
It
said, all right, when you said
yeah.
stupid stuff, I was thinking dish, dish, dish. And
Yeah.
you've dished, keep dishing. Go on.
Uh in terms of like why I don't like ancient aliens,
Well, no, no, just in term. Well, what were you going to say before
I
I
was just gonna
interrupted
say
you?
that I was just gonna say that I don't like ancient aliens.
Okay, yeah, neither do I.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think not to say there's nothing ever mysterious in ancient stuff, but like it would be so obvious if the ancient aliens theory was true. It would be so obvious and it would not be possible to hide.
yeah,
Like and also like we have writing from ancient Egypt and stuff, and none of them are saying, yeah, we got Gleepzar from Zarabilor, who's come down and helped us make this pyramid.
yeah, exactly.
If you look at all of their writing that survives, it's very clear that they made it. Like all their writing
Yeah,
says we made it. There's illustrations in the pyramid of
yeah,
them making the pyramid.
and yet there are interesting anomalies related to those sites. They are often built along what we now call ley lines or on what we now call
Yeah,
power points.
like yeah, okay. What I will hand to that sort of thing is yes, I do. It does seem true that ancient sites, for some reason, UFOs are disproportionately reported there. That
Yes,
is true. Like it is true that if you're near Stonehenge, you're more likely to see a UFO. I don't know why, but
yes,
that is true. As far as I'm aware, actually, I'll say confidently, Stonehenge was not built by aliens. It was built by people like
yes,
normal human beings in England
yeah.
just thousands of years ago with their technology, not with any advanced technology. But it does seem like for some reason ancient sites attract UFOs. I think there's also Inca sites that
Well,
are like that.
they're
Um,
often built with electromagnetically conductive materials
hmm,
or materials
maybe.
that facilitate electromagnetic fields. Um,
It could be that it's because they were thought of as sacred. Like,
well,
you
I'm
know what I
saying
mean?
there's a grounding for this in physics, and there is a correlation between UFO activity and electromagnetism.
In what way?
Um, UFOs most commonly appear in areas with above average, with exceptional electromagnetic fields, areas that are often underlaid, sorry, with quartz, limestone, materials, natural materials that
Hmm,
facilitate or that are electromagnetically conductive. And UFO waves or flaps often occur in relation to periods of geomagnetic upheaval or geomagnetic stress. Um, you can facilitate this kind of phenomena with those materials. The Great Pyramid is known for that, especially if you go into the King's Chamber.
hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Napoleon spent a night in there,
Oh yeah, I've
had a
heard of that
nutty
story.
experience. The British occultist Paul Brunton did the same, had a nutty experience, and so on. So there's definitely something to that.
Yeah. There was also that haunting in Wales. I don't remember what it's called or how to pronounce it because it's Welsh. But it started when the family uh, went to one of the pyramids in Giza, and
Hmm.
that they like felt a weird presence, and that's what like started the haunting, if I remember correctly. Um,
Yes.
yeah, and
Well,
there's
that's
also
go on.
there's also a connection where fairies are often said to be associated with ancient sites.
Yes.
Uh, And I would agree with Jacques Vallée that there's pretty obviously that it's pretty obvious, it seems that fairies or whatever the culture calls those people or
Hmm.
entities um, are the same thing as, or at least related to
Hmm.
euphonauts and a lot of humanoids reported today, but just sort of in a more modern coat of paint, like a rebrand.
Yes. And as for the Welsh haunting, that reminds me of what has been said about Skinwalker Ranch, the contamination.
Hmm.
People who go there, they have these experiences. Then they go and talk to other people who weren't there. Then those people start having experiences, and so on and so on.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Like it's an infection being spread.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's also been reported where like paranormal researchers seem more likely to experience paranormal things. Like 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 as if the more you poke
If
the
you,
bear, so to speak, the more
yeah,
likely you'll get something to happen.
if you notice it, it'll notice you.
Yeah, like I did a little experiment the other day with my friend. Uh, there is a town in central Ontario that's like kind of far, but not super far from me,
Hmm.
called Bancroft. And I remember hearing in a Beyond Creepy, like the YouTube channel, a
Yes.
Beyond Creepy video that it seems like it's a little window area. And I looked, and it does seem like there's a lot of UFO sightings there as well. I've also heard about Black Panthers. There's
Yep.
a couple haunted places. And this is a little town with like a couple thousand people. So it's not like a big area, and it's just because of population. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna just do as many things as I can to provoke something. So I go to a liminal place on a Wednesday in October and take a weird route that I wouldn't normally take, like all the kinds of stuff like that. And my friend is driving me there. And what we're mostly talking about is we need to find a crossroads.
Yes.
And as we're driving, we take a route that's like intentionally weird, and we've not done this route because it seems like for some reason if you change your schedule and your expected behavior, it's more likely to trigger the phenomenon. Anyway, so we drive and we find like a crossroads kind of place where there's like, a road going in one way and the other way. And it's wooded area that's like far from other things. So I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, this is a good spot. Let's stop here. And after we stop, we look on the sign and we're at a place literally called Crossroad.
Ooh.
Like, yeah, isn't that weird? Like, I'm not saying that isn't a coincidence. It is, but that's the kind of thing I mean, where a lot of those like weird little synchronicities happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
what
don't
were you saying?
know. I've had a number of experiences myself. I don't know if any of them have involved signs or anything written,
Mm-hmm.
anything that someone else created and posted in public.
Mm-hmm.
I just got back from my family's cabin earlier, and I've had experiences there and in that area. Nothing last night, nothing yesterday or today, but none of them have involved signs again or anything like that. Although one hot spot in that area is McClintock Park, as I've discussed in my videos, which is filled with wooden bridges,
Mm.
including one very large arced one. So you could argue it's full of liminal zones, little miniature
Yeah,
liminal zones.
yeah. Yeah, I think if someone is wanting to attract the phenomenon for whatever reason to see if it could get a reaction. I think just going to liminal places and doing that sort of thing would be ideal. Like autumn is a liminal season. Wednesday is in the middle of the
Yeah.
week, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or liminal times, for instance.
Yeah, dusk.
M- Yeah, morning. Or if you want to look at it numerically, like 11:59
Hmm.
a.m. or
Yeah.
p.m. If you don't mind me asking, where in Ontario do you live?
Like the general Peterborough County kind of area, which is like an hour and a half, 2 hours from Toronto.
Okay. Now, are there any cryptids? Is your area known for any cryptids? Does it have any cryptids?
Yep, yeah, it does. Uh, there are Sasquatch reports. Like I know of like 20 something in Peterborough
Hmm.
County. I've from talking to people and also from online stuff. Uh, there's a couple lakes in the
Hmm.
general area with lake monsters.
Yeah.
Uh, like I'm like not far from Lake Ontario, which has Kingsty. Lake Simcoe has the Igo Pogo. I believe what is it, Cameron Lake
Hmm.
has one. Uh, I think there's other ones. Oh yeah, there's been reports of like out of place cougars. Although that one is not quite cryptozoological because it
Yeah.
is established that vagrant male cougars can travel very far and have traveled farther from their
Okay.
range than just Ontario. So,
Now,
there have been black panthers, which is weird.
okay. Have you seen any of these creatures?
Uh, no, when I was a kid, I did see a spider that does
Hmm.
not match any species that exists. But that could be a false memory. So I wouldn't say I've
Yeah.
seen any cryptid. I have uh met people who have seen Sasquatch. The Ojibwe people who live in Peterborough County call it
Okay.
Sabe, which means wilderness person, I think. And they've been reported.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what of your own personal experiences? We're winding down.
Yeah. For personal experience, I've not gotten anything where I'm 100% sure it is absolutely paranormal.
Hmm.
One of them could be a false memory, but I do remember when I was about 7, I was in the car with my grandmother, and we were driving on the 401 out of Toronto because I went on a day trip to the Toronto Zoo. And I remember it was in the more industrial part on the 401, probably around Oshawa or like Pickering or Ajax or something. And I was just looking out at Lake Ontario, and I see a UFO, and it zips by really fast, uh, like like the sky was clear. There was no clouds or anything.
Yeah.
Uh, like a little hazy, but like still clear. And it zips from, view from like one side of my field of vision to the other in like 3 seconds. And it's gray. It does not have the little cupola or dome on top. So it's shaped more like a coin, I guess. And it's gray, not shiny. I
Hmm.
want to say flying it was spinning rapidly. I know it was spinning rapidly. I do remember that. I want to say it was
Hmm.
clockwise. And it didn't ascend or descend. It just went across. And I excitedly said, like, "Oh my God, Granny, I saw a UFO." And she was just like, "Okay, cool," because I was like 7.
Yeah.
You're not going to assume a 7-year-old actually saw a UFO. This was also before I was interested in paranormal stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Like I knew what a UFO was, obviously, because like
Yes.
a toddler does. But that's interesting. That's something. Um, uh, Another thing, and this one is much uh arguably less weird than seeing a UFO, but did strike me as very weird, is last October, around this time of year actually. I was birding because I quite like birding.
Yes.
Um, and I was thinking just birds, right? I
Hmm.
was not thinking about any other thing. And I was walking down this trail by myself, and suddenly a thought pops into my head. I think, I wonder if I will see a snake, which is a weird thought because this is October in like October 20th, right?
Yes.
And I vividly picture in my mind's eye like a little reddish brown snake with a lighter belly, um, and it is lying on the path facing a particular direction with grass on both sides,
Hmm.
like flanked, and it's in the middle of the path, and it's about like
Yeah.
20 or like 10 centimeters long, maybe. And I'm picturing it very vividly. And I wasn't really giving it much thought. I'm just like, okay, cool. That's a thought I had. 30 seconds later, I see a snake that looks exactly like that thought in that exact position, like precisely. And it was in the middle of the path and everything. And it wasn't even a snake species I've seen or heard of before. It was a
Hmm.
red-bellied snake. And I'm like fairly outdoorsy, but for whatever reason, this species of snake hadn't crossed my knowledge. I
Thus
just didn't
far, it
know it
had
was a,
eluded you.
yeah, I just didn't know it was a thing. Garter snakes and northern water snakes are much more common here.
Well,
And I
it's
saw it and I was like, oh, cool. And only afterwards did I realize how weird it was that I had
mhm.
that thought and then immediately saw it.
It's a case of minor precognition. Those are very
Yes,
common.
I've had a second precognition thing,
Go on.
um, where I was picked up from school when I was like maybe 11 or so.
Hmm.
Um, and both my parents are in the car and they turn to me, and my dad, seriously says like, Robin, we have something really sad to tell you. And my immediate response without hesitation was, what happened to Auntie Emily? And my Aunt Emily had died suddenly.
Ooh.
Now she had Down syndrome, and people with
Okay.
Down syndrome do tend to die young.
Yes.
But I was like 10 or 11, and she wasn't sick. And I didn't know people with Down syndrome died younger at the time.
No, but
Um,
on some level, you may have understood that she was more vulnerable.
yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I did think it was weird that I immediately thought that. But like you said, I'm not willing to say anything I've experienced is explicitly paranormal, but I've had three things that are like maybe, right?
Okay.
I've not had anything where I'm like where I'd like swear up and down there's no rational explanation, you know? Like the first one could have been, the UFO could have been a false memory. I
Mhm.
was like 6 or 7, and I also love UFOs and stuff, so I could imagine me just conflating things accidentally. And with the other two precognition things, it could just be an insanely unlikely coincidence. And it's not like that doesn't happen. Like every day millions of things happen to you. Just
Hmm.
things, right? So the chance that something that's a one in a million thing happens is actually pretty likely.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say anything I've shared is like certainly unexplainable, but those are the three ones I can think of that seem interesting, at least.
Have you ever had a ghostly experience, a poltergeist experience?
No, although I uh
Hmm.
want to say I've met people who have, but I've not personally seen a ghost or anything.
Well,
Though it
have
would be cool.
you ever had an indoor paranormal experience? I guess is what I'm asking. Felt a
I
presence
have
being watched?
I have not. I mean, I mean, I've been anxious, but
So have I.
nothing paranormal.
All right. So your maps,
Hmm.
do you plan on making those public or have you already?
Uh, I have not made them public yet, although I probably should. I hopefully will make a website if
Hmm.
my executive dysfunction for my ADHD will let me try.
Yes.
But if someone wants to access it, I guess they could DM me. I'm Cryptid Robin on Blue Sky.
Okay.
And I would probably just give it to them. Um, but like, you know, like Yeah, I'll probably make it public as well as my databases of just like cryptids and other things at some point. Yeah.
All right, then. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
I don't think so. I think I'm good.
All right, then. That has been our show, or rather, this has been our show for the evening. I'd like to thank Robin for joining us, and I would like to thank in advance anyone who listens. Good night.